Hello and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. What is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is a feature of the channel where you guys leave lots of comments on the channel and I attempt to answer those comments, or if I can't answer those comments, I throw it out to you guys who have more knowledge on some of this stuff than I do. So let's get into the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Next comment or question comes from KRSLCSN, which I can't actually make into a word. Probably my dyslexia. And this was in response to Roland released the Fantom EX upgrade, an SMR I did in November 2023. And KRS writes, the discount code I got for the EX for having bought in the Zyme is $100 off the EX, even after emailing them and telling them that at $50 it is a fair price. Since I already paid $149 for the Zyme engine. So if I bought the EX, I would be paying Roland a total of $248 instead of just $199. Plus, when I sell my Fantom, the new owner doesn't inherit any of these upgrades. Some really important points there, I think. First off, thanks for letting the channel know that it is a $100 discount. That's the first thing. And I guess it would be way too much to ask for people that purchase the Zyme engine just to get away with a $50 charge to upgrade to the new EX, given that you get effectively the Zyme engine in the Fantom EX upgrade for free. So in terms of, I think it's $199, wasn't it, when it was released? So at $199, you're only effectively paying another $50 for all the additional functionality you don't get with the Zyme engine that you paid $149 for. I think, if I'm brutally honest, Roland have cocked up the marketing and loyalty scheme here, because it would have been a far better bet for them to turn around and say, well, just give us $50 and we'll give you the upgrade. But that's my opinion, and I don't work for Roland, and I'm not a marketing person. Next comment or question comes from Twin Triode. Is there such a thing as a twin triode? And this was in response to BOSS Microrack effects, a video I did in August 2023. And Twin writes, they were a Boss's attempts to grab some of the Rocktron people that were buying that stuff. At least that's what I always thought. I bought one of those. They were expensive compared with the pedal. Mine came with a brass belt buckle that said BOSS and something like 1970X to 1986. I used it as a key ring for 25 years. Then I lost my keys. By the way, over in the States, the American guitarists in the 80s used rack gear a lot. It was, well, did guitarists use rack gear over here? Very good question. Most of my mates all have foot pedals, if I'm brutally honest. And pretty much everybody I know in a semi-professional basis also use foot pedals. Although at this point in time, Roland were pushing things like the guitar synth and the guitar effects thingy. But my mates never bought into that. So anyway, you know, with the belt buckle, I'm probably assuming that they thought what you were going to do was you're going to go sort of striding onto stage, you know, doing the old John Wayne piece. You know, look at my belt buckle. Hey. You know, fingers looped through the straps and all that sort of stuff. And maybe you were going to do a line dance with the belt buckles, you know, reflecting the light. I don't know. I'm just talking absolute tross. Anyway, shame that you lost your keys. I do feel sorry for you, because I know A, losing keys is a right raw pain in the bum, and B, not so much the losing the keys, the fact you've got to go and get them all recut. You know, and you don't know what key, can't remember sometimes what keys you had in your keyring, what keys you didn't have in your keyring, to make sure to find the keys that you need to get them recut. And it costs a fortune to get them recut. It's not cheap anymore. Anyway, but that belt buckle will probably be worth something to a collector now if you think about it. Now I do agree. I think the BOSS effects were expensive for what they were, and the BOSS pedal range was less than half the price and would have met most users' expectations. Definitely my friends' experience. My friends would not have bought the BOSS Microrack series. It was just, why would you spend £200 on something when you could go to Denmark Street, which is where most of my friends went to buy their pedals at the time. You could go to Denmark Street and pick the relevant pedal up, brand new for about 60 quid and second hand for about 30 quid. Why would you buy the Microrack? I just the economics don't work. And what's really interesting, I do find it interesting that you've stated that a lot of these US-based guitar users used rack-mounted gear, because I've been racking my head to remember if any of my mates did, and the answer was quite simply no. What they did do is they built quite elaborate pedal boards, because I was involved in that. You used to get a piece of plywood, and you put on the plywood, you put little battens on the ply so all the pedals would fit into the battens. And then at the back of the pedals, you'd have a small slot cut out of the plywood so the power supply could go in. And you went and bought the BOSS power supply for all this stuff in the distribution bit. And you could make it yourself, and you could. The great thing about making it yourself is you could have pedals from different manufacturers, because not everybody followed the BOSS footprint. The BOSS footprint was a very rectangular shape, and all the pedals were pretty much identical, whereas other manufacturers had wider pedals and deeper pedals and stuff like that. But they all, funny enough, pretty much all use this 9-volt power supply rail system. So you could get away with just using one BOSS power supply to power the lot, and then you cut out a slot between the various pedals, so that you had your guitar coming in one end of the pedal board, and then you had little sort of patch cables, which were the ones that terminate at right angles, so you could go from one pedal to another pedal to another pedal to another pedal to another pedal, and then off to the amplifier. But that was one way of doing it. I remember building many pedal boards for friends of mine. And then the other one was that BOSS, I don't know whether people remember this, but BOSS actually had a little grey case where everything could go into the grey case. So you had your tuner went into the corner, your pedals all went down the bottom of it, and the power supply came into the distribution point that was on the top right of the case. It might have been the right and left, I can't remember. Anyway, but BOSS is this, and it was quite expensive at the time. It was about £60, I think. It was a fairly expensive piece of plastic, but it did protect your pedals quite well. It was kind of that shock absorbent ABS plastic that you find a lot of racks built out of if they're on the road. So I think it's horses for courses, but it wasn't really, what I would say is it wasn't really a it wasn't really something in the UK. It probably was more overseas.